All right, guys. Breaking news. David Taylor is now the head coach of the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Adolfo, how are we feeling about this?
Dude, I am shocked. I am freaking thrilled. College wrestling has been flipped upside down. It's an exciting time. The Magic Man to Stillwater.
Dude, yes, sir. How did this happen, right? Like, I feel like, 1 second, we're looking at Coleman Scott being the head coach. Now it's David Taylor. It's just been like a crazy turn of events the past couple days. How are we feeling about it?
Well, you just said how did it come about, and a lot of people jokingly have said that it's a impact from the Aaron Brooks and Zahid match, the singlet pull. So it's all stemming from that.
Yeah, which is so crazy, man, because I didn't see David Taylor getting into coaching for, I knew he would, but I thought it'd be like a couple more years. Do you think are we going to see him compete this year at Worlds, or you think he's just going to go dive headfirst in coaching?
I would assume that he goes straight into coaching.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you're like the guys that just transferred over to Oklahoma State, like Dean Hamidi, you got to be like just super pumped.
100%. You imagine though the people that are I don't know that wanted Coleman Scott to be the head coach. How do they feel?
Yeah, and David Taylor. I mean, we know, right? I think the sources are out there. We know he's getting paid, right? He's getting paid handsomely, and one of his demands was that his assistant coaches also get paid pretty well. Um, who do you think? Like, who's going to take over there with him?
I mean, there's talks of Thomas Gilman, Kyle Dake, Eric Thompson. I'm thinking maybe Frank Molinaro gets thrown into there. Um, I mean, any Penn State guy really has a chance, I think, of going with David Taylor.
Dude, if you got Kyle Dake and David Taylor in a package deal, that would be unreal. I mean, we've been seeing it for years. People are like, man, who's going to combat Kale? Like, who's going to stop the Penn State dynasty? And I feel like this is, Oklahoma State, right? Just a legendary program with John Smith. And now they got David Taylor, like a product of Kale. How long do you think it takes before maybe Oklahoma State starts competing with Penn State? Do you think it takes long?
It's too hard to predict that, to be honest with you. It's just, you want to say because it's David Taylor in a short amount of time, but, sometimes these things take time.
Yeah, for sure. But man, David Taylor someone is calling me right now, man. Anyways, if it's not about David Taylor, I don't want to hear about it because this is just absolutely massive. And it just happened. I mean, last night it was like 9 p.m. when we heard about this. And when we first started talking about it, we were like, not going to happen. He's not going to move from State College, Pennsylvania, down to Oklahoma. Like he's built his life up there. He has businesses up there, but it's happening.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be like, I don't even know, like it was supposed to be Coleman Scott. Like, that's what everybody thought. Coleman Scott coming from North Carolina, being right under John Smith, it just seemed to make all the sense in the world that he was going to take over. But this splash is just like, is this what Oklahoma State needs to get back on top to get a name like David Taylor? And I guess that's what it's showing. Like, hey, we are serious about bringing Oklahoma State wrestling back. That we went out and got an Olympic gold medalist who was just competing 3 weeks ago, and it's just it shows how serious Oklahoma State is to be being great again.
Yeah, I mean, one of the all-time goats, like David Taylor, two-time NCAA champion, four-time finalist, Olympic gold medalist. David Taylor is, no questions asked, in my opinion, the best two-time NCAA champion ever. Like, he was one of those guys. He certainly could have been a four-timer. Lost to Bubba Jenkins, lost to Kyle Dake. Just man, I don't know. It's just so crazy that Oklahoma State got him. And if you're a guy like, for instance, Wyatt Hendrickson, he's looking at places, left. He's going to be coming from Air Force. Now you see David Taylor's the head coach over there. And to me, if I'm Wyatt Hendrickson, that might be a no-brainer.
Yeah, maybe even if you're Andrew Aliris too.
Yeah, dude. And the talks, what was it? It was Iowa is trying to get him?
Yep.
And was Oklahoma State already trying to get him?
Yeah.
As well? Okay.
I guess they're willing to match money-wise.
Yeah, man. I mean, what do you do? Andrew Lirez, Oklahoma. I don't know if if Stillwater is closer than Iowa, but for him. But, David Taylor is going to be, if you're guys like Jax Forrest, Bo Bassett, now Oklahoma State probably just became like a real contender for them to attend Oklahoma State for college. So,
yeah, Penn State's now a real good option for people that are like, hey, if I go to Penn State, am I waiting a year or two? Right? And these are good people that are probably saying that to themselves, right? Just because we've seen it, right? Some really good wrestlers have had to sit on the bench at Penn State, and then when they get the chance, they do what they do, which they get on the podium. They maybe even become a national champion, like Anthony Cassar.
Yeah.
So, but I think right now for David Taylor, you need to find a couple wrestlers. You have D. Lockett, who's phenomenal, who wrestled at Olympic trials as a high schooler. He's gonna be a real problem in college wrestling. But I think you need a couple more, 2 or 3 more big names. So like a Jax Forrest, like a Bo Bassett, and do what Kale to David Taylor. David now needs his David.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just crazy because originally it's funny because we were talking about the Carter Strachey tweet, which if you can pull that up, yeah, that's wild. But David Taylor, I just did not see him going there, man. I just did not see it happening, if I'm being completely honest, just because, like I said earlier, he's built his life up there in Pennsylvania, and I was like, he's not going to move to Oklahoma, man. It's not happening. And then it just hit us last night. So what did Strachey say?
Strachey said today, I was offered a big payday too. I said, go wipe your ass with that money. When it comes to money, people switch like the weather. Not me. Loyalty is everything. Nothing is built without trust. PSU versus OK State in the football stadium. The national champions. 10 matches to 0.
Yeah, which I guess Carter Strachey's just trying to put himself in that situation because, Kale came from Iowa State, and he was going to coach at Iowa State, and then I guess Penn State just offered him more money or something. So, and Taylor was actually going to follow Kale to Iowa State originally, which is crazy. So, yeah, man. This is super exciting, and it just shows us these guys from the 2010s era, Kyle Dake, JB, David Taylor, Snyder, these guys, they're going to do really well for themselves in the coaching realm if they choose to do it.
One thing I want to bring up about the Strachey tweet, because I was reading the comments and the quote tweets of the of his post, and it's pretty unique that I still see when he puts stuff out like this, that's just Strachey trying to stir the pot, and that's just I still feel like it's I don't know how to describe it, that pretty much that it's not real, that I don't feel like he's like that. I feel like some people really are like that. I feel it's almost the personality type of thing. It's almost to describe it. What's his name? Kobe Covington.
Colby. Yeah.
I feel like it's almost like that, where behind the phone, he's really not like that. does it so that it's entertaining, so that it sells, and so that he's in, in the talks. But really, it's like it's probably just a really chill, calm dude. He's a competitor. He's confident in himself. But I'm I'm just reading all the comments, and people are just like, this dude is just annoying. This dude, he's all these things, right? In which I'm like, yeah, if someone says that, I feel like you would believe that person to be all those things that you're saying. But I'm just like, I don't fall for it. I love it because it's engaging. It's something we can talk about, but I'm not saying Carter Starachi's a bad person.
Yeah, no. He's just playing the heel for sure. And hey, people have bought into it. And it's especially crazy because that comes from Penn State, which, we know Penn State, all their guys are, usually very kind and they don't talk crap like that. But yeah, Carter Starachi, man, it'll be interesting. If he faces Oklahoma State wrestler, what he might do. But it's also crazy because David Taylor was kind of entertaining, fighting MMA at one point. I think on a podcast he said that he wants to be known as like the best combat athlete ever. And he was like, well, naturally after this Olympic cycle, he was like, well, I want to fight and establish myself as, one of the all-time greats in combat. But now, now he's a head coach at Oklahoma State. So I don't think we're going to see that now.
Yeah, and I think that maybe goes to just him being like a entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Right, he's got a couple businesses, and I think that was an avenue for him to explore to get some money.
100%. Dude, this is just I hope people realize how big this is because I feel like this is the biggest coaching hire scenario that we've seen in probably since Kale.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. I mean, if you're Iowa, I feel like you're sitting there. If you're the Brands brothers, you're sitting there going like, shit,
Yeah. Like we got another Penn State to deal with.
Yeah, for sure.
Isn't it crazy that it really is David Taylor to now knock off Kale? Now that's just good. Nobody's gonna be wondering if Iowa's gonna do it. Nobody's gonna be wondering if Michigan's gonna do it. Nobody's gonna be wondering if Ohio State is gonna do it. I'm sorry, but people are gonna be waiting for David Taylor to knock off Cale Sanderson just because of their relationship.
Yeah, and I wonder too if he's gonna bring in that same blueprint to Oklahoma State. I mean, I'm sure they're looking for that magic, the magic man, David Taylor. I wonder if David, the way that he runs his club team, I wonder if it's, similar to how Kale runs things. I'm sure it is. But, dude, if you're his club kids, too, you got to be bummed.
Yeah, I wonder what goes on there if he has to sell the M2 or he just moves it. Can he be in control of it while being a head coach?
Man, you know what? I bet he'll have someone take over, someone from Penn State.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Mark Hall's a good choice for that. You never know.
I mean, Mark McKnight,
he's at Pitt. Penn.
But yeah, he said in his interview when he announced his retirement that he wasn't sure what was next. So I'm not sure if he's going to continue to be at Penn. So who knows?
Yeah, and another thing that is actually very cool about this situation is that the Paycom CEO, what was his name, Adolfo? Something Richardson. No. Chad Richardson. Yeah, he's the CEO of Paycom, which is a payroll processing HR software. He was like a very big wrestler and is heavily involved in the community. And I guess he's the one who kind of was the liaison between Oklahoma State and David Taylor to make this happen. So I just figured that was a cool thing to let y'all know about. Adolfo, do you have any more tea about this situation with David Taylor?
No, other than man, I'm curious the resources that he will have. He just I'm curious on how big his signing with Nike is, considering that he's Oklahoma State's a Nike school.
Yeah, and does Chris Perry and do Tyler Caldwell stay?
No, I think he just brings in his staff. Yep.
Dang, so where do they go?
Who knows, man? But I don't know. Like that's the question. And where does the RTC guys go that are helping with that? Like Zoe, Fix's dad.
Yeah,
What goes on? What does Fix do?
man. I mean, you might stay, right? That might be what Dayton Fix needs
That would be
to get
crazy.
to the next level. I mean, he
That would be.
you know what I'm saying by that, like to get where he wants to be. Maybe that's where he ends up staying. But I mean, he's from Oklahoma. You know, he rides or dies for the program. I don't really see him going anywhere else.
Who could imagine that, like, Dayton Fix being coached by David Taylor?
That would be wild. But yeah, man, this is so exciting, and I can't wait to see it next year and throughout the coming years to see if David Taylor can make a Penn State 2.0.
I feel like Taylor is just gonna. You have to assume that he's gonna be bringing a lot of ideas to Oklahoma State.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not just excited for the wrestling portion, but I'm excited to see what goes on just around the program. Like, I feel like he's gonna advocate for some really cool things to happen there.
yeah, and his style fits Oklahoma State. You know, with the just low levels, ankle picks, that sort of thing. It fits in pretty seamlessly. But David Taylor now, he has to deal with the NIL world, which I'm sure he's already familiar with. So I'll love to see how he navigates through that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see just a guy who not only just David Taylor, right, Olympic gold medalist, but a guy that who has a successful club. I imagine if he could bring the people that he's coached and developed. You have Tyler Kizak, Levi Haynes, Mason Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
Just man, imagine if you could have all those guys that have went through his through his club at Oklahoma State.
I know, dude. I mean, he'll probably be able to recruit those guys over. I mean, shoot, if you're like Terrell Barraclough, right, or if you're a backup for Penn State and you're looking for somewhere to go, I mean, I feel like this is a really good option.
I feel like if in the future, you think if it gets crowded in the lineup at Penn State, do you think a lot of people's first option is like, oh, let me contact David Taylor at Oklahoma State, because I assume it's probably the same type of thing. Yeah, it's different, but you're gonna get almost the same type of thing.
I mean, shoot, dude, this might end up being people's first option. I mean, David Taylor's young.
Well, I'm just saying people that are at Penn State and they're on the bench, crowded, want to leave, and they're like, okay, the first place I'm going to is Penn State. To Oklahoma State, because it's like kind of like a Penn State. Like,
yeah, for sure. And if you're in high school, and I mean, one big thing with Kale is we always heard like he gets on the mat with the guys, he wrestles with them, he goes live. David Taylor's 33, and if you're 165 and up, dude, I mean, you're going to be hands-on with David Taylor a bunch. And David Taylor's type of guy, too. I mean, when he was in high school, he wrestled, like 103, 113, 120. Like, he's been at all the weights. So, he's I don't know, man. I mean, he's a GOAT. So, super great to see him in the coaching realm.
And you're just speaking, like, just David Taylor. Like, bring in Thomas Gilman for the lightweights. Like, how does that... Dude, that changes a lot. Like, your lower weights are going to be set. Get a Jimmy Kennedy for, like, the middleweights, and then you get, I don't know, if you get Eric Thompson, he's working over there at Arizona State with Colton Schultz. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to just see how this all unfolds, and I think we're going to see something special, just like we see at Penn State, but I think with a little extra flavor to it, which, hey, it's needed. It's I like it, man. I'm glad that it's going down this way too, where it's just David Taylor.
How long do you think it takes Oklahoma State to be top 3 at NCAAs?
Dude, that's so hard to predict. So many things can happen a lot quicker than we think. It can happen, it can take forever. It's just you want to say because it's David Taylor that it's going to
3 years.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years. But I think I mean, how many years did it take Iowa State from they were a program that used to be one of the best and rough couple years, and then Kevin Dresser goes and takes over and does a bunch with the program, turns it around, and
Yeah.
I don't know how many years that took, 6, 7, something
Mhm.
around there.
Mhm.
I mean, I think it depends on who leaves Oklahoma State, who David Taylor is able to take away from Penn State and the recruiting process and all that. So it just varies, man. But I would say, I mean, if you want me to just give, I think maybe 5, 6 years. But you said top 3.
Yeah.
I'm thinking just being like top 3 though. Ooh, that's tough.
Yeah.
Top 3.
It could be quick, man. Could be quick, but man, that you have any more thoughts about this before we close out?
No, but how crazy would it be if like you did keep an Oklahoma State guy on staff? Coleman Scott.
Yeah. I feel
How
like you
crazy would
got
that
to.
be?
Yeah.
Not that you got to, but I feel like for the longest time when it was talked about who was going to take over after John Smith, everybody was considering a former Cowboy.
Yeah.
And it just feels so weird that no one's going to be in the on the coaching staff that's a former Cowboy.
Well, hey, they clearly want to be back on top. That's why they hired David Taylor. So it's good to see them, wanting to, get back on top and start a new dynasty. So,
and it's crazy, it's crazy that he wanted this.
yeah,
David Taylor's the one that wanted this job. He reached out to Oklahoma State, and then pretty much on Sunday, he declined the offer. He wasn't gonna go to Oklahoma State, and then something happened between that Sunday until Monday when Coleman was supposed to have a meeting with the AD, and it didn't happen. Justin Bash, Willie Saylor, and Christian Piles all talk about it on their videos. So it seems like Oklahoma State really pulled through. They whatever David Taylor was requesting, they're giving it to him.
Well, hey, guys, this has been Wrestler's Grind. Hunter, the co-host. Adolfo, the host. The magic is coming. The Magic Man is coming to Oklahoma State, and we're super excited. And as always,
Embrace the grind.
embrace the grind.